Didik TV KPM.
Let us move on to the next section. Okay, so this is on section C. So section C, as we all know, it is on essay questions. So the type of questions that normally asked, from my analysis, the type of questions normally asked are to draw and explain the isomers produced from the reaction, or to deduce structural formula of the compounds, or to suggest and explain a chemical test to distinguish between compounds, and next they can ask to write the chemical equations involved in the reaction, or they can ask to write or explain the reaction scheme, and last they can ask about write the reaction mechanism. So we take a look at the example question.
Okay.
This is essay questions from 2019. The structural formula of vanillin, a phenolic aldehyde, is shown below. A. Using vanillin as the starting material, state suitable reagents and reaction conditions to carry out the reactions of condensation, mild oxidation, and esterification.
Okay.
For each reaction, write the chemical equation and state the observable changes. Marks allocated are 9. So how are we going to answer this type of question with a lot of marks here? As you can see, students, please underline all the important points in the question. So here, when you want to start answering the question, it is very important for you to organize your answer properly, because we have 3 different types of reaction. We don't want to confuse with one another. So here, we start off with condensation. So the reagent for the condensation reaction with vanillin to occur is using 2,4-dinitrophenylhydrazine. Or if you do not want to write 2,4-dinitrophenylhydrazine because it is quite long, you can use Brady's reagent. Or if you are comfortable with drawing the structural formula, you can use the structural formula of you can draw the structural formula of 2,4-dinitrophenylhydrazine. Correct reagent, you get 1 mark. So next, you are going to write the chemical equation involved in the condensation reaction. As you can see here, we focus on the organic compounds from the reactants and the product. The side product that we get here, H2O, water, is optional. Either you want to write it down or not. Okay, so that is the correct chemical equation for the condensation reaction. Will give you 1 mark. And then next, the observable changes for the condensation reaction is the orange precipitate form, which will give you another 1 mark. Next reaction is mild oxidation. So students, here you have to remember, mild oxidation cannot use the oxidizing agent that is very popular with us, which is potassium manganate 7 or potassium dichromate 6. So these two are a strong oxidizing agent. So if you use these two, either one of it, it is wrong already. You are not having mild oxidation anymore. So the correct reagent to carry out mild oxidation is using Tollens reagent, and the condition is warm. So here, the correct reagent, correct condition, you will have 1 mark. So next, you have to proceed to write the chemical equation. For the chemical equation, before you write the chemical equation, we know that by using Tollens, we will have observation as silver mirror. So here, you produce a precipitate as your observation. So that's why when you write the chemical equation for the mild oxidation reaction, as you can see at the product part, you have to identify what is the precipitate form, and that precipitate is the argentum or the silver, and this argentum is written the physical state as solid, whereas the rest without the physical state. And again, here, as we can see, there are two side products produced in this chemical reaction. But these two side products are again optional. And of course, like I said just now, the correct observation for the mild oxidation reaction is silver mirror form, and you get another 1 mark. So last reaction is esterification. So esterification here, the reagent used is ethanoyl chloride. You will get 1 mark. And then the chemical equation, as shown here, you can see that we focus again on the organic compounds from the reactant side and then the product side. So the HCl form is optional. That gives you 1 mark for the correct chemical equation. And last is the observation. When you form an ester, that is the very significant observation for ester, which is the fruity smell or the sweet smell. Correct, 1 mark.
Okay.
Okay, from the same question, we have question B. Vanillin reacts with Grignard reagent to form an alcohol. Write all chemical equations involved in the formation of alcohol, which give you 3 marks. So basically here we will think, oh, okay, we have to write chemical equations. So how are the marks allocated? Let us look at the sample answer. So here, when we talk about the vanillin, we can identify that inside vanillin there is a functional group. That functional group is known as carbonyl. So this carbonyl is the functional group that can react with the Grignard reagent. So when you draw the structural formulae of the vanillin and the Grignard reagent to get or to produce the intermediate, correctly you draw the structural formula of the intermediate, you will get 1 mark. Not as the total chemical equation, but on the correct structural formula of one product, which is the intermediate. And then next, from the intermediate, undergo acidic hydrolysis to produce the final product, which is the alcohol. So here, when you write the correct reagent and condition to carry out reaction on the intermediate to get the final product, which is the alcohol, you will get 1 mark. And then the final mark you will get is the correct structure of the final product, which is the alcohol. So overall here you get 3 marks, even though they ask you to write a chemical equation, but as you can see from the sample answer, it is not the case. Moving on. This is the next question from 2015 repeat semester 3. Amphetamine 2-amino-1-phenylpropane is a strong stimulant which can be synthesized from phenylalanine. Between amphetamine and phenylalanine, which compound has a higher melting point? Explain your answer, 3 marks. So from the compounds given, phenylalanine and amphetamine, we can know that from their structures that phenylalanine is an amino acid, whereas amphetamine is not an amino acid. So first off, you have to answer which one has the higher melting point. So of course, that is phenylalanine, 1 mark. And then you have to explain why you said that phenylalanine is having higher melting point. In solid state, phenylalanine exists as zwitter ion, which produces stronger ionic interaction between neighboring zwitter ion. So that will give you 1 mark for explanation. And then the second mark for explanation, where can we get it? So here you have to explain about the other compound, which is amphetamine, which has the lower melting point. So the explanation is that amphetamine cannot exist as zwitter ion. So that will give you the 3rd mark for this question. Moving on. Okay, from the same question. Number 2, show how amphetamine can be synthesized from phenylalanine. 5 marks allocated. So students, when you come across this type of question, in order for you to answer, you have to form a reaction scheme, because the keyword there is synthesized from a starting material to a final product. So you have to write a reaction scheme. So the reaction scheme here, before you carry out the reactions that occur on the starting material to get the final product, we have to analyze on the starting material, which is phenylalanine. From phenylalanine, to get the final product, you can see that there is a functional group carboxyl in phenylalanine. And then that carboxyl changes into a methyl group in the final product. So meaning that here, you have to focus on the carboxyl chemical properties. So now here, what happens is that carboxyl will undergo reduction. And the correct reagent and condition is the presence of lithium aluminium hydride in the presence of dry ether, and acidic hydrolysis with heat. So that is the correct reagent and correct condition. Will give you 1 mark. So the next one, once you drawn the correct structural formula of the intermediate, where from carboxyl it has been converted to CH2OH, you will get another 1 mark. And then proceed. This CH2OH will undergo dehydration reaction. So dehydration reaction is going to produce a carbon-carbon double bond. So what is the correct reagent condition for the alcohol to undergo dehydration? The correct reagent and condition is hot concentrated sulfuric acid. So you get another 1 mark. Next on, once you draw the correct structural formula of the second intermediate with the carbon-carbon double bond, you will get another 1 mark. And last, this carbon-carbon double bond undergo hydrogenation reaction with the presence of catalyst, nickel, and heat. So that will give you another 1 mark due to the correct reagent and condition. However, once you drawn the structural formula of the amphetamine, which is the final product, there is no marks allocated for the structural formula of amphetamine.
Okay, I see.
We move on to the next question.
Yep. Question number 3.
Yes, question number 3 is an essay from 2015. Isopropyl benzene is an example of an alkyl benzene which can react with chloromethane in the presence of halogen carrier FeCl3, ferrum trichloride. Draw the mechanism for the reaction and name the type of reaction. 7 marks. There are 2 things that you have to answer here. Draw the mechanism and name the type of reaction. So the first mark you will get is when you draw the correct structural formula of isopropyl benzene. And then you answer what is the type of reaction. The type of reaction is electrophilic aromatic substitution. As you can see, student, I highlight the word aromatic because that is compulsory. Without the word aromatic, your answer is wrong. So when you are wrong, you cannot get that 1 mark. So this is on aromatic compound. So it's very important to get the aromatic there. And then for the mechanism, the first step is formation of electrophile. This is in a chemical equation where you react between the chloromethane with the halogen carrier FeCl3 to get the electrophile, which is CH3+, and the other one is FeCl4-. That is 1 mark. And then the next step is you have to draw the nucleophile that attack the electrophile. So here, very important student, when you draw the arrow, make sure the arrow comes from the carbon number 3, between carbon number 3 and carbon number 4. Touching the bond between carbon number 3 and carbon number 4, and then extrapolate going into your electrophile. So the correct origin and ends of your arrow will give you 1 mark. And then next mark you will get is when you draw the correct structural formula of your carbocation. And then from the carbocation, you undergo the last step, which is deprotonation. Deprotonation here, again, you have to draw the correct arrow. So the correct arrow starts from the bond between the carbon and hydrogen going into the carbon. So that carbon, do not go the arrow into the positive sign. That is wrong. So you have to move the arrow into the carbon, which will give you 1 mark. And then next, when you draw the final product, which is this, okay, the name is 4-isopropyl-toluene, which is you don't have to name the final product, plus water will give you another 1 mark.
Okay, then this one, teacher. Think like a proton, always positive.
Yes, always positive. Students, saya tahu sekarang ni this is your final, kita kata final chapter.
Lab.
Yes, final lab, final chapter of your life as a STPM student. Jadi ada masa lagi, tolonglah belajar betul-betul, dan saya akan bagi 2 tips.
Yang pertama?
Okay? Yang pertama, 2 tips ini. Yang pertama, pastikan pelajar betul-betul menjawab soalan yang ditanya. Jangan menjawab ikut suka perasaan pelajar. Okay? Itu adalah semasa peperiksaan. Sebelum peperiksaan, masa masih ada. Jangan berhenti untuk berusaha. Pastikan pelajar betul-betul menjawab soalan dan pastikan soalan tersebut adalah soalan yang berkualiti. Apa maksud cikgu dengan berkualiti? Pastikan pelajar menjawab soalan yang berbeza-beza, bukan soalan yang sama. Pastikan ia berbeza-beza supaya pelajar akan familiarize yourself with the different type of question yang macam cikgu tunjuk tadi. Jadi dengan itu, cikgu akhir sekali cikgu mengucapkan selamat maju jaya. Pastikan pelajar buat semester 3 ini yang terbaik, sebab there is no repeat for you for semester 3.
Didik TV KPM